Welcome to the part 66. We are looking at real questions. So these are questions from the past. This is the YouTube handle. You can look out for 600 plus videos, 3000 plus questions on various certifications, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Snowflake, W, and so on. So if you have not yet subscribed, please do so. It will help you with staying in tune with the latest certification content. So let us look at this question now. And see, this playlist is pretty big. Now, sometimes people ask, hey, you know what? The old videos, are they still relevant? Yes, they are relevant. Uh, Azure, the concept remains the same. They add new services, but majority times old services are still existing. Okay, so this is a very real life scenario. In most of the projects we have worked, what we see is on cloud they want to know if any virtual machine is being not utilized properly. And why do we do it? See, suppose I had uh, three virtual machines. Okay, so I know that this and this are getting used fully, but this guy is sitting idle. So why do I pay for it, guys? So in cloud world, you have to be very cognizant about cost. You cannot leave resources idle, so you have to continuously monitor. So this is what we are doing here. You want to identify which ones are underutilized ones. So which service will help you with this? See, the number one service designed for this purpose is cost management and billing. Okay, this one. So what is cost management and billing? You see this? It is a suite of tools, and you can use it to optimize your cost. See, everything you are doing to optimize your cost. Cost is cost saving is one of the bigger thing here. So billing is where you manage your accounts, invoices, and payments. Okay, and then cost management and billing. This is your gateway to Microsoft Commerce system. So you can see how charges get processed. Okay, and then you can see this as well. Anomaly detection model identifies anomalies in the daily based normalized usage. So it has a bit of AI and ML. So you don't have to go to the depth for this certification exam AC 900. You need to just know there is some AI and ML in the background which tells, hey, you know what? Yesterday, for the last, when we saw this yesterday, for the last 2 months, you were only using it this much. Today, suddenly, you are using three times. So it tries to raise suspicion that is there anything wrong? Then you can do cost allocation as well, right? So for example, you can say, okay, I'm going to spend $10,000 per month on this subscription. So out of which $2,000 I'll give it to the HR department, 2,000 to the finance department, and so on. So that is possible, and then you can pull your cost and usage reports. Okay. So one basic thing you should know is this is a part of FinOps. Okay. Like we said, fintech, right? Fintech means anything with technology you're doing for banks, financial institutions. So this is FinOps. FinOps like financial operations. It will tell you how much you're spending and those kind of stuff. So it is purely to manage your finances. Now, if you look at services like advisor, so this is just like your best practice. It is a religious book. Consider that as that. Okay. It says uh, what is best practice. Now you want to follow it or not. It's your prerogative. So does it give me advice to save my cost? Yes, it gives you advice. Okay, it will tell you if you follow this in this path. Like for example, it will tell you if you have vada pav as your breakfast and snacks, evening snacks, then you will save money. That is another thing. Maybe your stomach goes for a toss, but not in the young age, maybe in the old age. Okay, so that is an advice. It will say you can save money this way. Now, whether you want to still go to cafe coffee day or Starbucks in the morning and say, hey, post it in Instagram and say, hey, you know what? I'm having a Starbucks coffee in the morning. I'm living the rich life, man. If that is the way you want, it's up to you. Advisor will not come and say, uh, चल बे तेरे को दिखाता हूँ चल यहाँ से. It will not say that. But cost and billing will do that. Cost and billing will say, boss, stop spending. This is your allocation. Cost and billing will clearly tell you went to Starbucks, you spent this many money. Now you have to survive on water only. It will do that for you. One. So advisor, as the name suggests, it's just a pure, peaceful advisor only. Now reservations. As your reservations, what are these? Simple, man. You have you are taking rental from Hertz. If you take it for 1 day or 2 days, you kind of spend more. But if you take it for a month, you will get some discount. Okay. So what are you doing if you take it for a month? You are reserving it. You don't want to go day by day. You are reserving. Same way in cloud also they say, okay, do you want to reserve resources? If you do that, you have to pay very less. See, virtual machine is a resource in Azure. Just for that, like if you use a virtual machine on demand versus reservation, if you reserve it, you will save 80%. The only problem is like reservation is like marriage. There is a difference between live-in and marriage. Okay, marriage you cannot get out immediately. There is some minimum period. So here also you have to stay for 1 year or 3 years. That is, so you have to commit for that 3 years. I will stay with you only. I'll not go outside. Okay. Um, that and then only you will save 80%. Otherwise, you will not save 80%. So here, the question is not asking you how can you save money. The question is asking you is, are you tracking your resources or not? It is a tracking solution that they need, not a money saving solution. Okay. And then Azure policy. Now, many of you may ask, what is Azure policy? So policy, as a name suggests, you want to enforce certain standards. Like in India, if you see, we want to enforce certain standards. Like we can create a new law. For example, somebody created, okay, you cannot eat this certain sort of meat. So that is something you can draft a policy. Or um, even policy can be something like the new tax regime policy that we have, that you opt for a new tax regime, and so that is also one sort of policy. So policies are meant to be enforced. So here also in Azure environment, in the cloud environment, you can enforce, you can create policies, you can enforce it and so on. But the policy enforcement in real life in Azure world is very different purpose. It is not like, you take some examples. Why do you enforce? Because you want certain governance actions. For example, ensure your team deploys resources only to allowed regions. What it means? So suppose your client told you should only deploy for this project, you should only deploy resources to US region, Ohio maybe say. But if you go and deploy it in London region, what will happen? The policy will restrict you to do that. That is an example, a very good example. Now the problem is, here nobody is telling that, oh, this is the policy we have created. Is it getting enforced or not? Please tell us. No, people are not worried about policy in this question. They are worried about which of my resource is underutilized. Such problems happen for big people like Ambani. He has hundreds of cars. Which car is underutilized? Okay. If it is underutilized, what will he do? Will he worry? Probably not. But he might say, okay, let us engage that, give it to one of my relatives. They can use it. Something of that sort. This would be my final answer. Now the next question here is, they are saying which of these is an Apache Spark based analytics service. So see, always remember Databricks. Databricks is Spark based. You see this documentation, this is Spark based analytics. Now Databricks, is very powerful, man, but it is costly also. If you have like lots and lots of data and you want to do some analytics, you want very solid kind of system, this is your go-to, man. Just like in big data we use Databricks extensively. Okay. You might say, why not Data Factory? See, Data Factory is an ETL tool in Azure, so you can also call it a data integration service. In a company, if you will see, people who are like more experienced, 12 years, more than 12 years old, they will call it DI. Your bosses, your vice presidents, they will call it DI, data integration service. But at core level, developers will just call it ETL, extraction, transformation, and loading. So this is meant for that. The moment I know that I have to create a data movement routine, I want to move data from one place to other and apply some transformation, some calculation in between, and then load the data, I will use Data Factory. Now, see, it is common sense. We are talking about DevOps, and here we are talking about analytics service. DevOps is not an analytics service. So what is DevOps? See, DevOps, it will help you ship faster. For example, something like Maersk, they have ships, they transport ship all over the world. So this is the company, they have lots of ships and they transport your goods from one place to other, cargoes and etc. Via big ships, they transfer it. So what are they doing? They are only moving things from one place to other. Simple. You must have seen such trucks. They will only move stuff one place to other. For analytics, no, you will have to open the package and see what is inside it. Maersk will not care what is inside it. It just has a certain policy, as long as you are not transporting bombs and anthrax or some sort of stuff, uh, and medicines are allowed, they will just ask you for prescription, etc. But mostly like cargoes, etc., they will just transport, they don't care what is inside. See, for analytics, no, for analytics service, you have to care what is inside your data. Okay, so DevOps is pure misfit. DevOps is like Mercs. It will just move things from one place to other. Now, people, you might say, what about Synapse Analytics? See, if you have to create a warehouse, data warehouse, and big data systems, you use Synapse. Okay, if you want to create such warehouse kind of stuff, it is purely based on SQL technologies. Now, uh, you can also use Spark based technologies for big data, and you can use Data Explorer for time series analytics. Okay, so it tells you, boss, you can use it for all three purposes. But the software itself, the Synapse software itself, it is not based on Spark. Simple. So hence this Databricks, this would be our answer. So if you see this, where Databricks fits in, where Data Factory fits in. So if you want to ingest and orchestrate, you use Data Factory. Now the data comes in here, lots of data, big, lots of data. So Azure Databricks, what it will do is it will transform and enrich your data. Okay, it will transform and enrich. Enrich is like it will add some vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C. Okay, now then it will put it in Synapse Analytics. You can load it in Synapse Analytics, and from that you can connect Power BI and it will hit Synapse, and you can create your BI reports. Simple. Now all this data for Databricks, Synapse, you can also store it in a data lake storage. Okay. This is a very good diagram, very informative diagram. And Apache Spark is purely for big data analytics and AI with optimized Apache Spark. You know what? If you are using for very large data, this is my experience. If you use for very large data, you are using SQL based databases, then it is very slow. The processing is very slow. So for machine learning, you will have to scan through the data and understand head and tail of the data. So that will become very slow if you have enormous amount of data. So usually machine learning AI happens on big volumes of data. See, if you had small volumes of data, you could have still understood the analytics behind it using Excel sheet also. Then why you need AI and ML programs? AI and ML programs you need primarily because you have plethora of data, terabytes, petabytes. It will scan through that, and that is why. Do you think why AI and ML was not there around 2003, 4, or 1999 or 1990? Because compute, that sort of compute was not available to run it faster. Now it is available. See, the previous parts we have uploaded in uh, members area, cloud kernel, cloud ninja members. So you can take the membership. There is a link in the description. Use that, become a member, and gain access to those contents as well. Now let us look at this next question here. See, in a nutshell, what you want is you want to create a virtual machine in a subscription. Simple. Just read this line. Okay, this is all you want. You want to use command, a specific command, and do it. Now such questions are very common in the exam, where they give you a problem statement, then they give you a solution, and then they expect you to tell if the solution will work or not. If it works, you select yes. If you think it will not work, you need to select no. So what is the solution they have given? Let us look at the solution. They are saying that they will use a computer, Windows 10, and they will install CLI from the command prompt. They will sign in and run the command. Okay. Now, will it work? That is the question. See, in my previous couple of parts, I had covered this topic that you know you have three ways to create resources. You can do it via Azure portal. You can do it via PowerShell. Uh, you can also do it via CLI, and CLI and PowerShell, they would work, definitely work on Windows platform, Linux platform, and Mac OS platform. So here this should work. This should be our answer because, like I told, CLI works on Windows 10 and you can create resources. It is one of the mechanisms to create. So one mechanism is you use the portal. Second mechanism is you use the PowerShell. Third mechanism is you use CLI. Okay. So common sense. See, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, everybody will support man nowadays. Have you wondered why I only say man and not say woman? Because when I look at the statistics of this channel, I found out that a bulk, like slightly more than 80% of my viewers on this channel are male dominated. There are very few females who visit this channel. Okay, so that is, I'm not sure what is the reason. Probably the content is too technical, or it's not interesting and appealing for female crowd. I'm not sure. Uh, but that can also be the case that we have a very um, poor male to female ratio in different countries. So we have reached the end of this part. If you have not subscribed, see, I'll tell you one thing. There are previous parts I have put it on for members. You can click the link in the description, become a member. Cloud kernel is dirt cheap, and Cloud Ninja is slightly more cost than Cloud kernel, but you gain access to so many advanced certification content with Cloud Ninja. This certification you can access through both Cloud kernel and Cloud Ninja. And the way the channel is structured is you will have some free content, like this video is free, and there will be some paid content. So you should do both to elevate your chances to clear the certification. Okay, just doing the free content, probably you may be skipping some important questions, important concepts, and so on. This brings us to the end of this part, and you can search YouTube using this handle for this channel. Better, I would say, subscribe and become a member. And then you see, there are 600 plus videos on this channel and 3000 plus questions on various cloud topics. Within AWS as well, there are so many certifications, so we are trying to cover a lot of them. Similarly, in Azure and Google Cloud, we are a bit low on Google Cloud. We will put more content on Google Cloud. And then Snowflake, we have put pretty heavy content there, so you can visit Snowflake playlist for the certification as well. See you in the next part.